What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with a little bit more Overwatch, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the characters I think is good to use if you're a new player in Overwatch, and that is Soldier76. Now, a lot of people think that he's good to use mainly because he has kind of the first-person shooter Call of Duty archetype with his assault rifle and his rocket attack, and he's very easy to play for newer players. It's kind of just to aim and shoot like you would in your normal FPS games if you're coming over to one of those to Overwatch. So he's very comfortable for newer players and beginner players to use. Overall, though, I think Soldier76 is a pretty solid character. He has a wide range of interesting abilities that make him kind of self-sufficient, and even in the hands of a better player, he can be a very, very good character to use in the game. He's one that I've been using, honestly, quite a bit because, like I said, I'm new to Overwatch and I'm trying to get used to it, but I found him to be pretty effective so far. Now, he is an attack damage type character, and he does have like the base 200 hit points like most of the other damage attack type characters, so you can't take a whole lot of damage with him, but thankfully he does have some healing abilities to help make up for that. And he's what I would consider kind of like a mid-range, ranged fighter in the game. When I play Soldier76, I kind of like to stay behind the tanks, kind of in the middle range between the tanks and the support characters, and just, take shots on everything that I possibly can, try to land headshots with him because you can get a little bit more damage with those. But just to go over his abilities really quick, he has a couple of abilities here. His passive is going to be sprint, which is kind of, again, like your basic first-person shooter, being able to sprint around. You press the key and just kind of allow him to have a burst of speed, and you can use this until you actually stop or you take any action other than running forward. And this is a pretty good ability because it can help you get to checkpoints faster. It can help you get to objectives faster. It can also help you retreat from fights faster. If someone's getting ready to use their ultimate and you want to get out of the area, you can leave. Or if you see that the situation is going south fairly quickly, you can retreat and regroup with your teammates. So it's definitely a good ability to have. It gives them a little bit more speed to get back into the fight. You can also use it to jump over gaps you normally wouldn't think you'd be able to. On some of the maps, you'll be able to use sprint and then kind of angle yourself up in the air and jump, and you'll be able to cross chasms and things you normally wouldn't be able to by just jumping normally. And overall, sprint is a pretty good ability to have. It's very basic, but it does have a lot of utility when you're using him. Now, his main weapon is his pulse rifle, which is a very accurate weapon, and it does get a little bit of recoil when you hold the trigger down, but if you fire in short bursts, I always go with Corporal Hicks from Aliens, short controlled burst. That seems to serve me well in just about every FPS I've ever played. That will help you out here as well. You have 25 rounds in each clip before you have to reload. It takes 1 second to reload, and if you're using his Tactical Visor Ultimate, it only takes about a half second. You're going to get anywhere from 5 to 17 damage per shot, depending on if you're hitting body shots and headshots, and he does have a fall-off distance, which again is why I like to stay in that middle to close range with him. If you get any further out, you can still hit people, but it's not going to do a whole lot of damage. And you definitely want to go for headshots with him, so aim is going to be very important when you're using just his basic attack. And it is a hit scan weapon, so it does shoot instantly at the target wherever you are aiming, and does a very good DPS. Again, stay in that middle to close range, and you should be pretty fine. Now, you're going to get a little bit of a recoil spread after your first couple of shots, and like I said, just manage that by using, just pulse the trigger a little bit, short controlled bursts, like I said. So, overall, pretty solid main weapon he has, and it also has a secondary ability, which are his Helix rockets. This shoots a spiral of 3 rockets out of his rifle, and they can explode on contact with enemies or the ground. They do have a little bit of splash damage, so if you see a big group of enemies and you can get a shot in on them, you can damage more than one person. A direct hit's going to do about 120 damage, and if you get the splash damage, you can do about 40 to 80 damage, I believe. The cooldown on these is 8 seconds, so you definitely want to spam these anytime they're up and you have enemies in sight and in range that you can hit. Definitely use these because they're going to do a good bit of damage. They're definitely going to help your teammates out. And they travel fairly quickly, so, as long as you're aiming, you're leading your target a little bit, shouldn't be too hard to get hits with his Helix rockets. And again, just spam them whenever they're up. They're definitely going to give you a lot more DPS and help you out. Now, what makes Soldier76 kind of interesting is he does actually have a healing ability, which is kind of weird for a damage character. But he has a biotic field, which he can drop a little item on the ground, and it has energy projection that will heal him and any of your allies that are in range. Now, it does have a 5-meter radius, so you have to be relatively close to it. It'll last for about 5 seconds and does 35 healing per second. Has a 15-second cooldown, so it's not going to be up as often as your other ability, but you definitely can use this more strategically to help out your team. And especially if you sometimes get into a situation in quick play where no one wants to play a healer, this can kind of help you out a little bit. But, you know, he shouldn't be a primary healer, but he can work in a pinch. And it also helps you go a little bit more lone wolf with him when you're trying to flank. If you happen to run into a situation where you're facing more than 1 or 2 enemies at a time, you can kind of get the cover, drop this healing field, pop back out, hit a couple shots, and it just gives you a lot more utility with Soldier 76. So definitely a good ability for him to have. Now you do have to be in line of sight of the healing, the biotic field within the 5-meter radius, I believe, for it to work. And you can also be above it, so if someone's in a room above you and you can drop it down, that can also help them out a little bit. So definitely a great little ability for him. Gives him a lot of utility to have this healing. And I've actually unfortunately played several quick matches where I was the top healer with Soldier 76, which is not good. That shouldn't happen. You know, you need an actual primary healer, but it just speaks volumes about how good this power can be with him to help him stay alive in the fight. And finally, you have his ultimate, which is the tactical visor, and he'll say, you know, I've got you in my sights, and it brings up little crosshairs. This basically is like an auto aimbot type thing. It will last for about 6 seconds, so it runs off pretty quick. You still get relatively decent damage with it. Does not have any bonuses for headshots, but it will automatically aim at all of the targets, and you just hold down the trigger and you're going to hit everything. You don't have to worry about actually aiming. Now there's some interesting things that happen with Tactical Visor. It will instantly reload all of your ammunition, and it reduces your reload time by 50%, so it goes from a second to about a half a second. Still has fall off damage with distance. And the cool thing is with this, it will actually work with your Helix rockets, so you can fire them during that 6-minute time period, and they will automatically aim at the target that the crosshair is on. So it can be very good to use this with all of your abilities. Now shields and barriers can block some of the damage from this, so you want to try to take on enemies that do not have shields or any kind of barrier when you're using Tactical Visor. I found it best to use this when enemies are grouped up together. So if you have someone on your team that uses one of their trapping abilities and gets a bunch of enemies grouped in the same area, definitely use Tactical Visor in that situation. It's not something you want to waste on just 1 or 2 people. You want to make sure you have plenty of people on an objective that you can use it against. So just a very, very good character overall with Soldier 76. Like I said, he's got a lot of really interesting abilities, and they definitely help him be a well-rounded character. And I think it's another reason the beginners find him so easy to use. And he's definitely a character I like to use, especially since I'm just starting out with the game. And I think you'll find him fairly useful too if you're just coming over from other first-person shooter games. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. It's just kind of a quick look. I'm not going to get too in-depth with these. I just want to try to help some of you newer players with Overwatch try to find some characters that you can use. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know below. Leave me any comments. Let me know if there's other characters you'd like me to take a look at. I'll just be going over some of the basic ones to start here. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you guys are having a great weekend, and I'll see you again next time.